utmost best to prevent this kind of invasion to Rafah, and really to push the both sides to reach an agreement to cease fire or to hold fire, and have at least a period where they can start the negotiation. But honestly speaking, I would like here to close my first contribution without putting the overall objective for all of us that any kind of negotiation end up with the two-state solution. This crisis will continue, and it will never stop, and it will harm everybody in this region. So we have to work very hard together, I think, the whole world, to really try to stop first this kind of unhuman, of course, attacks on Gaza, but we have to work for the more, long-term objective of having the two-state solution. Thank you.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you so much. Maybe just a quick follow-up from me to you. I did mention at the beginning that, of course, we are all reading about the negotiations between Hamas and Israel. To the extent that you can share, what is your current reading?
Of course, we are hosting this kind of negotiation between the two parties, and there is progress, of course, on certain issues, but still there is fundamental issues that there must be a sort of compromise from both sides to accept, so that we can reach a solution. Again, I think in my analysis, the situation is more complicated because of the internal political setup in both sides. I'm speaking here about Israel and Hamas.
Okay.
Because if you make this kind of evaluation or analysis, you will find a lot of pressure internally in both sides not to reach any kind of compromise. And this is what makes it very hard, because here you are not speaking, unfortunately, I'm going to say it like this, you are not seeking the optimum and, and right solution that maybe can achieve the public interest for everybody. You are speaking about your own agenda that you don't want to tolerate, despite that it's not maybe unfair. So I just wanted to explicit this issue, and this is the moment. At this moment, this is what we are facing, and this is what we are trying to do our utmost best, really, to convince both sides to reach this. Because only if we manage to do it, this will stop, of course, the Rafah attack. I just wanted to add something that, of course, had severe direct impact on Egypt. I'm speaking here about the economic, of course, spillover. Just to give you numbers, of course, the revenues of the Suez Canal, because of the global trade, has been cut by more than 50% in this last 4 months. Of course, this has, of course, had a negative impact on our economy, but again, our most important objective now is how to reach a settlement between the two sides so that we can enter in the process agreement, in peace agreement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and also thank you to you and Egypt for all your diplomatic efforts there. It's really appreciated. If I could move to Prime Minister Khassauna of Jordan, a similar question. Obviously, a big stakeholder country. Help us understand for the here and now on the situation in Gaza. What is your reading, but also what is Jordan? We all know, of course, there is a lot of aid also and a lot of efforts from the part of Jordan. So help us understand what is going on. It would also be good because, of course, this is not done in isolation. So this crisis has tremendous impact also on the overall Palestinian economy, including the West Bank. There have been, of course, its impact on, for example, the persons that are able to work elsewhere. So some of those incomes are no longer panning out in the Palestinian economy. how do you also view that, given also the fact that, for example, a number of private sector entities, including the some of the Jordanian banks, are also very active in the Palestinian economy? Over to you.
Thank you so much, Merrick. It's a pleasure and honor to be with this distinguished panel. And let me just quickly echo what Prime Minister Madbouli kicked off his valuable comments with by, again, reiterating our gratitude and thanks to Saudi Arabia for hosting this important event, and particularly to the custodian of the two holy sites and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. This is indeed an extremely timely event at a very interesting, challenging, and perhaps depressing time. And yes, a lot of diplomatic activity is underway, and the epicenter of this diplomatic activity is the continued Israeli aggression on Gaza and the potential for a catastrophic impending additional aggression and operation in Rafah, which by all standards will be a catastrophe that adds on to a catastrophe that has led to conditions close to famine in Gaza and to numbers of deaths and injuries and civilian destruction and reconstruction that is estimated to be in the vicinity of $18.7 billion, which is around 93% of the GDP of Gaza and the West Bank in the preceding years. And this in itself is quite horrific, with an entire decimation of the medical infrastructure in Gaza, the educational infrastructure in Gaza, both at the level of universities and at the level of schools. The fact that today we have around 180 women in Gaza daily giving birth in the midst of rubble, and an estimation by a lot of UN and humanitarian agencies that 1.1 million children require psychological treatment and assistance and help as a result of the wreckage that we have seen and as a result of the trauma that they have been witnessing. On the Arab side, really, the Arab side moved quickly post October 7 to reiterate what is an unequivocal Arab position in fundamentally rejecting the targeting of civilians wherever they are and whoever they might be. And this is a long-standing Arab and Jordanian position. What followed and what ensued is quite catastrophic, and fundamentally it does tick the box, regrettably, of each and every definition that me, as a student in law throughout my educational career, it ticks the boxes of war crimes, grave breaches, violations of international humanitarian law, and a whole range of international humanitarian legal literature and principles and standards that had it been not for the protection that is accorded partially and that's luckily perhaps now diminishing, it's simply and easily just shameful. And this problem did not begin on the 7th of October. This entire problem and catastrophe is really the product of 70 years of continued Israeli occupation and rejection to recognize the inalienable rights of the Palestinians to achieve their globally, internationally recognized aspirations, and chiefly among them their right to self-determination and to the establishment of their territorially contiguous independent Palestinian state that lives side by side in peace and prosperity and security with Israel on the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital, as a requisite that fundamentally would also strengthen Israel's security, regional stability,